时候，其实牧师不能够，咱们牧师不能进入到他女儿待的那个房间。然后，但是每次医生走来走去开门的时候，这个牧师就能看到啊，Peter牧师在外边，在那。
And so yes, he opened the door, and there is Pastor Peter.
就是每次那门他会看哦，牧师 Peter 牧师在那。
And so it always had a special relationship with your church.
所以就是我们其实一直有这样非常紧密的联系，特殊的联系，教会的牧师。
So my teaching today is to encourage you during this time of celebration of 20 years of having this church.
今天我就是想要鼓励大家，在我们这样20周年的时候，来给大家一些 encouragement 一些鼓励。
Like with Paul, with the Church of Thessalonica, he says that, hey, you are doing a very good job.
像保罗对提到的家教会的时候，你们做的。
But there's always a better job we can do, right?
但是你们仍然可以做得更好。
But there is a difference. What the title of the sermon is: the more and more biblical principle. The more and more biblical principle.
但是仍然还有越来越多的基于圣经的这种原则和教导。
Because in leadership, the world tells us more and more is like more money, more people, more famous, those type things, right?
因为从领导力的这个角度来讲，这个世界会给我们很多的概念观念，说比如说要越来越多的钱，越来越多的名利声望这些。
But that is not what Paul is teaching here.
但这不是保罗教导。
It is ironic. I'll rephrase that. What Paul is teaching is challenging because it's not even what many times us as Christians today will say about growth.
他说应该是就是保罗的教导其实是带有挑战性的，而且是对于我们当今的基督徒来说，就是也是非常非常有挑战的。
Because even in the Christian world, we kind of act like the world, right? We act like, and we say we want to have more money, we want to have more people coming to our church, we want to have a bigger building, whatever it may be.
就是即使作为基督徒来说，我们好像也更期待说，我们教会能更大点，能有更多人来，我们有更多的钱，也是有这样的期许的。
So Paul, you can turn to your Bibles to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4.
大家可以打开圣经《帖撒罗尼迦前书》4章1节。
And I will try to make this more interactive because I know you're sleepy like I'm sleepy, right?
对话，因为我觉得你们也困了，我也有点困。
Let's talk about Paul is teaching the church 2 more and more principles.
让我们今天来讨论就是保罗教导教会说 2 more and more principles.
Yeah, there's 2.
2个越来越好的原则，有2个，今天会讲2个。
So I am saying more and more because in the English translation, it is to give. It's not just saying I encourage you. He's saying more and more, better and better. He's emphasizing this word.
所以当我说我在鼓励的时候，我并不是说鼓励，而是说越来越好，越来越多，然后就有一个强调，对不对？来强调这个更高更好的那个意思。
So could someone please read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 1?
有人可以用中文来读一下《帖撒罗尼迦前书》4章1节吗？Christine。
兄弟们，我还有话说，我们靠着主耶稣求你们，劝你们，你们既然受了我们的教训，知道该怎样行，可以讨神的喜悦，就照你们现在所行的更加勉励。阿们。
So Paul encourages them. The first more and more I want you to see is he says, I want you more and more to please God.
所以保罗想要鼓励大家的2个点的，第一个 more and more 就是讨神喜悦。
So in Chinese, what is the word that is in the Bible for more and more?
More and more 更加。
And so I I asked one of my good friends who's a Greek Bible student,
我问一个我的朋友，他是一个希腊语的学生，
and I said, "How is this word translated
这个词儿该怎么翻译呢？
from Greek to English?"
从希腊语到英语该怎么翻译？
And he says the reason is like better, to be better. It's a word that is more intense than just saying it's okay, do good. Paul is saying be better. Yeah.
OK， 所以他问那个学习，因为这个新约是从希腊文翻译过来的，那从希腊文这个翻译到英语的话，该怎么去理解它？他说就是怎么讲呢？就是一般人说啊，行的挺好，做的挺好的，但是不要这样了，要更好，一定可以更好，再好，就是这样的层面。
So he's saying you're already doing it good. He says in there, you're already doing it good, but you can be better. You can be better.
你现在已经做得很好，但是你一定还可以做得更好。
And so the first is to please God. And then he answers us, how do we please God? How do we please God?
第一个点就是我们要讨神喜悦，那要怎么去讨神喜悦？
So read verses 1 Thessalonians 4, 9, and 10.
然后我们再来看一下《帖撒罗尼迦前书》4章的9节和10节，这方面来读一下。
4章9到10。
对，就是
第9节说，论到弟兄们相爱，不用人写信给你们，因为你们自己蒙了神的教训，叫你们彼此相爱。你们像马其顿全地的众弟兄固然是这样行，但我劝弟兄们要更加努力。
So do you see the more and more?
Yeah.
At the end, what is he saying to do more and more? What's the second one, more and more?
第二个更好是指的什么？你们看到这两段读的经文最后 in English 在英文里面都是用 more and more 结束的。就刚刚我们说是 please God 的，第二个我们也读完了，有一个 more and more， 大家有 get 到第二个 more and more 是什么？
彼此
Yeah, love each other, love each other， 彼此相爱， 彼此相爱。
So that first more and more, you please God by loving one another.
说第一个是说要讨神喜悦，然后再要爱彼此相爱。
Just as to please God, the church of Thessalonica is still doing a very good job of loving one another.
就是在讨神喜悦这件事情上，其他人家教会做的很好了。
So Paul is saying, you're doing a good job, but you can do even better. You can love one another even better, more and more.
这个做的很好，那你们还可以做的更好，就是要彼此相爱。
So that is my encouragement to you.
这也是我今天想要对大家说的话。
As a church over the last 20 years that has such a powerful testimony.
在作为一个教会，我们在过去的20年有很多的见证。
That has understood persecution like this church in Thessalonica.
这就是我们的那个逼迫，就是我们也有一些在教会里边来的一些逼迫。
That has gone through suffering like this church in Thessalonica.
就像提到那家教会曾经经历的那样子。
And that you have pleased God with your lives.
但是你们要去用你的生命来讨神喜悦。
And that you have loved one another even throughout your Macedonia, Northeast China, and other parts of China. Yeah.
就像马其顿教会马其顿这个地区，让你们在大连在这个教会里面也要学会彼此相爱。
And so my encouragement is more and more.
所以我的鼓励就是 more and more， 更加越来越。
So how can we assess as a leader, how can you love more and more going forward? We've talked about the past, now going forward, how do you love one another more?
所以展望未来，作为一个领导者或者是有领导力的人，我们要怎么去彼此相爱？
So in English, look at the last part of verse 9.
看英文版的第9节的最后。
I'm sorry, I should have said, look at the last part of verse 9 and I will read it in English. Sorry, I get it. I went backwards. For you yourselves have been taught By who? Who have you been taught with? To do what?
Love each other.
Isn't that amazing? Who is your teacher?
Oh God.
How powerful is that?
谁是你的老师？好powerful，多么有力量！
We love Pastor Peter,
我们爱你这牧师，
but being taught by God is different, right?
但是当时来教导我们是不是？
It is God is teaching us to love one another.
神在教导我们要，
And he teaches us through the spirit that lives within us, right?
教导是通过住在我们里面的圣灵来教。
So we have this spirit that leads us, that teaches us and how to love one another.
我们有个内住在我们里面的圣灵来引导我们去彼此相爱。
And so Paul continues on and he gives us practical ways that we love one another.
然后保罗继续的，然后用这种可实践、可操作性的方式来教导我们如何彼此相爱。
And that is in 1 Thessalonians 5 verses in chapter 5 verses 12 through 18.
然后这些是在《田论家前书》第5章12到18节。
Yeah, yes.
铁撒罗尼迦前书1章，有5章，5章12到18节，是吗？
12节说：“弟兄们，我们劝你们敬重那在你们中间劳苦的人，就是在主里面治理你们、劝诫你们的，又因他们所做的工，用爱心格外尊敬他们。你们也要彼此和睦。我们又劝弟兄们，要警戒不守规矩的人，勉励灰心的人，扶助软弱的人，也要向众人忍耐。你们要谨慎，无论是谁，都不可以恶报恶，或是彼此相待，或是待众人，常要追求良善，要常常喜乐，不住的祷告，凡事谢恩，因为这是神在基督耶稣里向你们所定的旨意。”
So we have to ask, how does this relate to leadership?
这跟领导力有什么关系？
I would say it means everything to leadership.
我想说，这里面每一句都跟领导力有关系。
Because if leadership does not start with love, it means nothing.
如果领导力不是从爱开始的，那它是什么也不是。
Just like Paul was writing to the church in Corinth in the famous love chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. The love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, they call it the love chapter.
应该是就像保罗在那个爱的真谛的那一段的描写一样。
And he's saying, like, in the church, you could be a Christian leader and have all the gifts. But if you do not have love, it means nothing.
如果在教会里面，你作为一个领导，但是你如果没有爱，你就是什么都没有。
He talks about you could be a great theologian, knowledge, but if you do not have love, it means nothing.
你可以有很好的圣经理论，但如果你没有爱，是什么？
You could be the best teacher
你可以做最棒的老师，
and prophet, but if you do not have love, it means nothing.
但你如果仍然没有爱，是什么？
Or you could even heal people,
你可以治疗别人，治愈别人，
but if you do not have love, it means nothing.
但没有爱，你还是什么？
So there, Paul is continuing on that thought to the church of Thessalonica. He's warning them that you can't stop loving one another.
然后保罗就是用这样的话来激励、来鼓励他们来教会说，你们不能够停止彼此，越来越爱彼此。
Because when you stop loving one another, then that's when the fighting comes in. That's when the conflict comes in. That's when the hurt comes in the church.
如果你们停止彼此相爱，那 fight 争吵就会来到，然后fight conflict 冲突就会来，仇恨就会来。
So this is what Paul is teaching here is for Christian leaders that this is how you live. This is how you lead in the church.
对于在教会的领袖来说，这就是保罗教导大家的要如何去做。
And so there's I think 5 or 6 key words I want you to look at.
有5、6个关键词，我想给大家。
But instead of me telling you what they are, I want you to get in groups of 2 or 3, and you come up with what are the 5 most important words, actions Paul is teaching us in the scripture.
OK， 他就说是一会儿我想让你们两三三一组，然后你们自己去找一些关键词出来，在这一段里面。
So you list those 5, and then you write why is this important to Christian leaders.
但是你们讨论完之后，你每个组要列出来5个关键字，然后在每个关键字后面呢写上为什么你觉得这个对于基督徒领导者来说是非常重要的。关键词加上你选的这个原因。
And then the last one is how can we do this more and more better at DCBC?
然后在最后你们再要总结，就是在教会，在我们 DCBC 教会，你们该如何令这些做得更好。
All right, so you have 20 minutes.
我们有20分钟去做这个讨论小时。
And then we come back at 11 o'clock, and you can go out by the pool.
Oh, yeah.
You can stay in here.